Locomotive Express, a podcast series dedicated to local economic development here in Eastern Kentucky. The Locomotive Express is a product of the Eastern Kentucky Locomotive Alliance. The Locomotive Alliance is made possible by generous funding provided by the Mary Reynolds Babcock Foundation and support from the University of Kentucky Appalachian Center, the University of Kentucky Community and Economic Development Initiative in Kentucky, the Estill Development Alliance, and the Business Alliance for Local Living Economies. This podcast, along with other resources, are archived and made available at whatsyourlocomotive.com. Again, that's www.whatsyourlocomotive.com. Well, hello, I'm your host, Shane Barton, and I'd like to welcome you to this episode of the Locomotive Express. Today we're going to get a chance to sit down and talk with Joe Crawford, the Executive Director of the Estill Development Alliance in Irving, Kentucky. Joe has been a partner with the Locomotive Alliance and a previous organization called the Growing Local Economies Initiative that really helped create this idea. I started the conversation by asking Joe, how did the Estill Development Alliance get involved in Locomotive Express and really start to think about this idea?
It was a fortuitous accident, I guess you'd say, when the UK Appalachian Center was beginning the Growing Local Economies effort. We, through a series of emails among interested parties, I contacted then App Center Director Evelyn Knight and just said, hey, we'd love to be involved. And thankfully, we were invited to the table and became quite active in that effort. So as Growing Local Economies kind of moved into the next phase, we started focusing on the local economic development idea for Estill County. And then as everything kind of progressed, we kind of took what we were already trying to make happen and what we had envisioned, and everything looks as though a regional effort would definitely be what would serve everyone best. And so here we are, and we're excited to keep moving forward.
Okay. How, in that Growing Local Economies Initiative process, were there particular things that you learned or particular things that came about that made this process a little easier or informed your process at all?
Definitely the whole process of looking at what the assets our community has to begin with. That seems to be a piece that a lot of people in smaller communities kind of skip past, because you want to look at what you don't have and how do we get what we don't have. But when you take a second to step back and look at everything that your community already has to offer, then it makes everything sort of come together. And especially, now that we've gotten to this point and we're looking at a regional effort, you can look at those little holes in what you don't have in your community and find out where that would be an asset that another nearby community may have. So you can plug the leaks by creating linkages, and it's a fantastic thing.
So let's move on to Eastern Kentucky Locomotive Alliance, where we are today. Now, you wear all kinds of hats here in the community.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, from a few different perspectives, either from the director of the Estill Development Alliance or from the Chamber of Commerce or any other hats, can you kind of put each of those on and talk about that perspective on Eastern Kentucky Locomotive Alliance, the chamber perspective, sure, or EDA, or...
Sure. From the perspective of Estill Development Alliance, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. We're dedicated to community and economic development for Estill County, improving the quality of life for the people who live and work here. So the educational piece, as far as reaching out to the folks in the community who make purchasing decisions every day, trying to let them know how important it is to support the businesses that we have here. That's a huge benefit. And the more people who understand what an impact they can have individually by where they spend their money, it's a huge deal. And it's not that hard of a concept for people to understand. From the Chamber of Commerce perspective, and I think this will go for a lot of chambers in smaller communities, we're constantly fighting that battle of providing services for membership dues. You want to make sure that you're providing the level of services that the businesses need in order to thrive in your community. So linking in with Locomotive and showing that from a chamber perspective, you're reaching out beyond the boundaries of your city or of your county and trying to benefit not only your own business community but the entire region. That definitely is a big value-added service that we as a chamber can provide. And I'd also say, just from an economic development perspective, Locomotive really taps into an often overlooked part of economic development. Everyone's excited about recruitment, bring in new businesses, and even more recently there's been the huge push to entrepreneurial development and trying to get people to start their own businesses. We're not wanting to take away from that, but what a lot of people forget about is the business retention and expansion part. If you already have businesses who are set up in your community, why not make that effort to help them increase their sales or the volume of business that they're doing? And that way they can hire more people. And you put more people to work, there's more cash circulating in your community. And at the same time, we make these connections, then there's more business on this side, there's more business in a community 2 counties, 3 counties away, and we're keeping all that money within the region where it belongs, and everybody benefits.
Would you like to talk any about some of the earlier work that got Estill Development into this? Some of the Brushy Fork stuff or the Von Grisham work? A little bit of that back.
Where EDA is now has been a long road. There have been a lot of good people in Estill County who have tried to figure out the silver bullet. How do we make our community thrive? That's what everybody wants to know. EDA came about in 95. There was some community planning efforts, some really good things that happened. As far as my tenure, which I've only been around since 2005, we actually have done quite a bit of work with Brushy Fork Institute at Berea College. Personally, I've been to 5 different institutes, and I highly recommend that for anyone who's wanting to get more involved in their community. We have been able to receive a few. It's kind of hard at this point. I'm sort of losing count. I think it's at this point we've gotten 4 flexi grants from the Appalachian Regional Commission through our participation in Brushy Fork. With one of those, we were able to bring Dr. Von Grisham from the McLean Center for Community Development at Ole Miss. He actually came in, did a weekend summit where we brought a huge amount of people for a small community together at one time and started the process, what we called EC2, Planning Today for Estill County's Tomorrow, and broke into those strategic planning groups around different topics that the group, the citizenry, decided these are the things we're most interested in. And from that, we've gotten some great things with, we now have a 4-county leadership program that's come from that because of a need that was identified from those sessions. and along with that, a focus on the entrepreneurial development, trying to not go fishing for the businesses in our community, but do what we can to grow our own and get the folks who are already here, give them a leg up when it comes to starting and maintaining their own businesses to be successful. Also, and last but not least, focusing on the local economic development as a formal initiative rather than just something that makes you feel good. So it's been a natural evolution in the way that everything's kind of come together, along with the rise of Eastern Kentucky Locomotive. It all fits right in with the grand plan that quite a few of our folks had actually had input on making happen a few years ago. So it's really been exciting. It's gratifying to me in the position that I'm in to be able to see some of these things come to fruition over time, just with perseverance and staying the course, making sure that you set goals and then you work toward them, and over time you actually see success.
So, thinking about, Eastern Kentucky Locomotive Alliance, what do our listeners have to look forward to over the coming months? As Eastern Kentucky Locomotive starts to expand and they may start to see more of it or see the branding, what do we have to look forward to in the region?
From the average citizen side of things, I really think it gives us something to point at and be proud of being an Eastern Kentuckian and Appalachian for that matter. I always make the comment that, it's great to talk about working across county lines until it comes to football season or district basketball. But this is something that every day of the year we can all be on the same team. And, we'll put it aside when it comes to ball games, but it's gonna be really gratifying to me to see more and more communities working toward the same goal and working with each other. So as we see the marketing, the branding ramp up and move into more communities, that's going to be exciting and something that we want to see Locomotive be a brand that everyone comes to associate with Eastern Kentucky and the great people and the great products that we have here, the great business community that we have here. So you're going to see an increase in that brand awareness in that of the brand. Also, we're going to start seeing, and this is one of those things from a business standpoint, your average person really isn't going to see a lot of the goings on behind the scenes when it comes to business, and that's talking about the Appalachian marketplace. Slowly, we'll begin to see maybe we're able to help one producer of a given product increase their sales by a certain amount, and they're able to hire another person. It's slow. It doesn't have to be slow, but for the majority of them, they will be. It's methodical and it's sustainable. So it's not like we're coming in doing some fly-by-night deal where there's a big infusion, something happens, we hired somebody for 6 months and they're gone. We want to help build those relationships among businesses in the region. So not only do they see an increase, an improvement in their bottom line this year, but for years to come because of those relationships we have in place. And then back to the consumer side, we're really hoping to have more marketing pieces going out for specific, shopping seasons or holidays, just everyday reminders to people, just to keep it on your mind. Because as you're headed out of town, going to the big city, quote unquote big city, to do your shopping, or you do a lot of your shopping online, especially with some of those retailers who aren't paying taxes. That's a whole other issue in itself. But when you're thinking about that, It helps to have that gentle reminder. As you go into one of your mom and pop shops and you see that that logo, that they're intentionally they're trying to be a part of the answer. We so long in Eastern Kentucky, we've had to wring our hands and say, woe is us, things are so bad. This is part of making things better, one purchase at a time.
Joe Crawford, what is your local motive, either personally or professionally?
Excellent question, Mr. Barton. I'm a simple kind of guy. I would have to say that my local motive is just the future of my community, the future of Eastern Kentucky. I've got 2 small kids. I chose to come back home to live and to work, and I want to see, just like most folks want to see their kids have a better environment to grow up in than they had. And I just want to see opportunities be here so they don't have to make an opportunity kind of like I did. I had to. I'd like to see them have plenty to choose from. And if they want to be doctors and scientists, rocket scientists or corporate attorneys or work in in the IT industry, I want them to have that opportunity to do it right here at home and not have to travel out. So, and I really feel like locomotive is a big key in making that happen.